just arrived in Holland, Michigan. We are checking out Windmill Island Gardens today. The tulips are now in bloom and we're going to check out the gardens. I've never been here before, so I'm excited to check it out and see all the beautiful tulips. The Tulip Festival doesn't start until next week, but the tulips have already started to bloom, especially the early tulips, and I want to go check them out. So I'm going to take you along with me. Let's go.
It was actually the last windmill that was permitted to leave the Netherlands because in the early 60s they had a new law that prohibited the export of ancient buildings. So we had the last working grain mill. And I want to stress the word working because we are still a working grain mill. We still are grinding wheat into flour and corn into beautiful cornmeal. If you look around, you see red Michigan brick. What we had to do before this mill arrived here from the Netherlands on this ship is build up the first 3 floors and then put this old mill on top of that. We are a working windmill, so we need the wind to get it working. And if you look around, we have all kinds of tall trees, so we needed to lift up that mill to be able to catch the wind from Lake Michigan. So the first 3 floors out of red Michigan brick, but it's laid out in a specific Dutch manner. If you look at the walls, you see the long side of the brick, and then the next row they turn the brick around and you see the short side. So it's a long short pattern, which gives a really good construction and really strong walls, what we need, because there's over 70 tons of millwork above your head. It is also slanting downwards to the outside, and you can see that in the doorways and in the window sills. And that is to help moisture evaporate from this mill and prevent rain from coming in. And as you know, flour and moisture are enemies, so we try to keep them away. Zo koud. It's a prophet, you already heard her talking Dutch. She came here in 2002 and she knew that she was going to be the miller on this authentic Dutch windmill. But she really wanted to be a Dutch certified miller. So she went to the Netherlands and did this training. Well, the Netherlands is about this big, it's 1/3 of just Michigan. So it's a really small country.
Actually 1/5, but it's only 1/5. But it's a lovely country, really. Yeah.
But they have trained people.
Yeah. That is not.
And so the training was in Dutch. So she had to learn Dutch, which she did this training and then became a member of this prestigious Dutch Millers Guild.
You ready? Die aanbakkelijk worden schilder.
The aanbakkelijke kolenmolenaar schilder. But I'm Dutch, so I can say it. As of today, there are 45 members in this guild. And you can guess it, 44 Dutch guys. And 1 American woman. So I think that's kind of cool. She also has a master's in historic museum studies, and that tells you that she always wants to know the why, the when, the how. And so because she spoke Dutch, she dove into the archives and got the whole history of this mill on the table and in this book that we sell downstairs. There are some recipes in the book, her world famous chocolate chip cookies. flour. We'll give you the recipe. If you are interested in the history, it is plausible. 2 years ago, it won
the State History Award of the Michigan Historical Society. There you go.
So, kinds of parts and tools that either have been retired because of metal fatigue, or you might recognize this story when they re-erected this mill in 1964. It was up and running and everybody was happy, and then they turned around and there it was, this little pile of leftover parts that never made it back into the mill. And so, but it was running, so they were good. And luckily they didn't throw them away. And I really like them because they are made back in the 1800s by blacksmiths, by hand. There was no Lowe's, there was no Menards. You could not send your kid to the store. There just wasn't. If you had a problem in your mill, you had to find a blacksmith or a woodworker, drag them to your mill, point out the problem and ask them to fix it. So I really like all those tools. Then there's a plaque hanging on the wall with a hole in it, shaped as a keyhole, but that's actually a bullet hole from the Second World War. Mills were mounted high up, so they were used for lookouts, so they were used to shoot at. They also had a specific mill language. In the picture that's hanging on the chute, you can see the mill with the blades like in the plus position, and that means that the miller is gone for a short amount of time. But if you put it in the X position, he is gone for a longer period of time. So no use to go to the mill and drop off your grain because nobody's there, it's not going to be milled. And then there is what I call 5 o'clock, which was something happy, something nice. And there was 7 o'clock, which was not so happy, not so nice. But during the war, the miller had this understanding with the people from his village that if he put the blades in a certain position, it was not safe to go out. And everybody knew that. Those mills in the Netherlands were like little community centers. Everybody went to the mill. The guys, the farmers to go there and drop off their grain, but the housewives go there and buy their flour. And they were all hanging around and yappy. So they were pretty. With that set of millstones, and we are showing you what we're doing on this set. So we got the housing off of this set so you can see what's behind all the wood. We cannot do any grinding without that wood because flour would fly around your head everywhere. So that's not an option at all. So what I'm telling you is happening over there, but I'm sitting here and showing you here. So grain is being pulled up by this wind-driven gear through this track door in the floor, and it works pretty much like a thread on a spool, being pulled up by the power of the wind. Then we pour about 50 pounds in that hopper, and then assuming that we already rolled the cap around. The cap is in the right position. The blades are facing the wind. They are ready to go. They are not going yet. All the brakes are on. The spindle gear and this top millstone that hangs down from this spindle gear. This is a model. I have 2 millstones. They are grooved, slightly curved. The little one is the one under my feet, weighs about a ton. It doesn't do anything, it just sits there. It's called the bedstone. Then the top stone is called the runner because that's the one that rolls around. It's hanging from the spindle gear and it rolls around because everything is rolling around, everything is turning. I have to put it down so I can talk to you. So this one is rolling around. Those stones should never, did I say never? Never touch. That would be a bad thing. So they're always slightly apart with grain in between. So grain is in the hopper, falls in through this chute in the center eye of those millstones. And because this one is rolling around, grain ends up in between those stones being milled, being pushed to the outside until it falls out as flour.